No, Kia Green just dropped a good video the other day. I linked it in the description box, and it just had me looking, had me thinking about how, the message of the whole video was how the powers that be use a black person as a pawn to get emotions riled up, and all the while they're being controlled by the elite. It really focused on Marcus Garvey, who was a lot like Umar Johnson, who scammed people with his Black Star Line. It was basically a steamship that was supposed to take blacks back over to Africa. And you got to ask yourself, what were they going to do when they got over there? What kind of infrastructure was set up? This was in, I think, the 1920s, I believe. So that means industry was booming, the car industry. We had a lot of factory workers, so people were leaving their jobs. Oh, blacks didn't really have nothing back then. Let me just scratch that whole thing. So you were leaving your job as a sharecropper to go over to Africa to be what? A sharecropper? I don't know. It don't seem like that would have been, I guess conditions for blacks were that bad to where they felt like if they left what they had here and went over there to nothing, they could start from scratch, I guess. But no way could anybody get me to go over to Africa now. I'm losing too much if I leave here. He ended up doing time in jail for scamming people with that Black Star Line thing. Then, I looked at Malcolm X, who was actually was one of my heroes, but I'm pretty much sold on, this whole thing that black people are looking for a savior because we've been indoctrinated with Christianity, so to speak, so much that we're just looking for somebody to do what we should be doing for ourselves. Part of the conditioning. Kind of like looking for a Moses to lead us into the promised land. So you got Malcolm X, another former criminal, and, he dealt with white chicks, and a lot of people say that I don't know if you procreated outside your race, but if you dated outside your race, you don't get to be a spokesman for the black community. Like, I know a guy he's always talking that white man devil shit, but this nigga got 2 kids with a white girl. You can't talk that shit, nigga. Period. Then another person that they didn't bring him up, all these people, but it showed pictures of all these people. Muhammad Ali, who was a womanizer. He was an all for the broads type cat, doing everything to cater to women. I'm sure we're all familiar with Larry Holmes. And Larry Holmes used to be Ali's sparring partner. And when he was just a sparring partner of Ali, Ali loved him to death. But when he stepped out and started making a name for himself in boxing, Ali didn't like him anymore. And I'm so glad that when they fought, even though Muhammad Ali was old, Larry Holmes was younger, Larry Holmes beat the shit out of Muhammad Ali that day. I'm sure he was punching him so hard that he was either shit himself or was pissing blood. And Muhammad Ali was one of my biggest heroes. That's where I get all my arrogance from. It's from him. And one of the other pictures up there was Bob Marley. So I'm like, now I know Bob Marley, wasn't down with nothing like that. And then I pulled this picture up. Look, this before he had dreadlocks. Look at the horns on his hands. He's the one in the middle. Take a close look at his hands, the symbols that he's showing with his hands. Tells him everything I need to know right there, man. It's like I'm no longer looking up to anybody for anything. I'll take what you got to say and I'll listen to it, digest it, and see where it fits into my life. And if it doesn't, I'm just going to totally disregard it. Straight up. Like, I'm going back to, like I said, my adult heroes were, what? Bob Marley, Malcolm X. It was Muhammad Ali, but then I erased him with Bob Marley. Yeah, got rid of Muhammad Ali. So it was really Malcolm X and Bob Marley. And then, now I don't want to have anybody as a hero. I'm going back to who was my childhood hero when I was a little boy. Fucking Luke Skywalker. Yeah, I forgot to add, Frederick Douglass, was a black abolitionist back in the day, and he ends up marrying a white female, so that cancels out everything that he stood for in his life. And then Umar Johnson says he's related to this cat, and then the family comes out and says he's not. That really goes to show you how much in little regard the powers that be hold us or keep us in a low they think very lowly of us because they're getting someone like a deadbeat dad, someone who claims that they're educated using words like axed and I've never taken a life before. Somebody getting on there that's never worked anywhere, begging for money, and it's just a complete fraud and a scam. It's basically showing you that they think that anybody can fool us into believing that they're this savior for us. And I alluded to at the beginning of the video, because of Christianity, we're constantly going to be looking for a slavery. Because of slavery, we're going to constantly be looking for a savior. That's what I wanted to say. And then you got people like Darrell, who doesn't want to confront Umar on where his money is because he's afraid of him. He's a coward. I really think so. I really do. Because, nigga, if I give you $10,000 and you don't want to talk to me for any reason, nigga, you gonna talk to me. Period. But he's running around. I think he's scared of Umar, for real. Because either that or he knows that he's been scammed and he's too proud to admit it. You know what I'm saying? Brother might got a lot of pride. No one admit that he was stupid to give that man all that money without investigating him. But yeah, D. Darrell's a fat, ugly dude who can't sing. And has a pretty dry platform. Like, his platform doesn't have any originality in it. And then you got to look at how long he's been doing this. Like, he's been doing this since 2011. And I'm coming up on 1 year. And my platform, I think, is 10 times better than his. You know what I'm saying? We're kind of close in subscribers. But when you look at his views and my views based on the amount of time he's been doing this, I'm smoking him.